This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com, and today, as my guest, I have a MMA fighter now. She's a Thai fighter. She posts a lot of Instagram pictures that makes me think she might also be a model, but we'll ask her if she's actually a model too. But Crystal Bear Lawson, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Great, and of course, the fans of this channel were introduced to you couple weeks ago or last week when I posted your face off video that your opponent had sent to me. And that was a very entertaining face off. This is a wrestling channel too. And I found that was more entertaining than anything I'd seen in wrestling for a while. But you
Yeah.
look like you're recovering from that fight. So maybe start off by telling us about that fight.
Yeah, so the weigh-in was pretty crazy, obviously. It's went pretty viral now. It's been on everything you can imagine, but some people show it actually happened, some people didn't. But yeah, so her and I have kind of had, not kind of, we've had issues for years now where she's just kind of talked trash about me, and she's threatened my family, me, and honestly it's just so petty and there's no real reason behind it. She's tried to get me to fight her MMA a few times, and I've been doing Thai boxing for almost 13 years. So that's where my focus has always been. So she'll just kind of say I'm ducking her or whatever, but nobody's ducking the girl. So anyway, just based on all the trash she's talked, I kind of assumed that maybe something would happen at weigh-ins. But I never really thought she'd push me. And so, a lot of people have something to say, which I just have gotten to the point I don't read comments anymore. But everybody wants to have something to say. But if you don't know the backstory, and when someone, sure, it was a weak push, it really was. But when somebody puts their hands on you after all the things she said, like, you don't know how you're going to react. So onto the fight. Uh, Doing bare knuckle was so different. I was initially drawn to it because I'm like obsessed with left way. So the idea of getting to take my gloves off was really, really cool. I've been doing MMA for not that long because I'm focused on Thai boxing, but so I've really just back to back haven't trained it a ton, and I'm still learning and growing. And with bare knuckle, it's brutal. So she did win the fight. Um, what happened was in the first, I would say maybe around the minute mark, like I got a grazing punch above my eye. And what people don't realize about bare knuckle is what's compared to maybe like MMA or like a Thai fight. A lot of times you're going to wipe the blood out of your eye. So it felt like someone had taken, I'm trying to like think the best way to describe it, but it felt like someone had taken like a package of like ketchup or something and just like squirted in my eye, but it was my blood. So then it didn't like go around my eyes, like in my eyes. So it just feels like this thick gel. And then so like my instincts kick in, and I'm just thinking like I just have to keep moving forward. I have to keep pushing the pace and fighting, but I'm not realizing while I'm in there that when your depth perception is off, which of course I didn't know this at the time, but you'll see me go to throw an elbow and I'm like this far away. Maybe you can't see it on camera how far this far is. But I'm literally probably like 2 foot away. And I'm like not understanding, but it's because like I legit couldn't see. And then I never make excuses. I've won fights, I've lost fights. And to her credit, and this is something all women should think about. I normally wear like tight sports bras or multiple sports bras. I did that this time, but when I'm not sure. Another girl suggested maybe it was from my weight cut. Um, but my boob popped out. I guess I can say boob on here because that's what it is. after like really shortly into the fight. So I put it back in. I have on 2 sports bras, and we were far enough away. At that time, it didn't matter. It happened again. And then at this point, you're kind of like, you're having to still fight, but you're thinking like, shit, what do I do, right? So then, and the third time, I've got blood in my eye. I'm just still coming forward. And then when I reached down, because it like came completely out to put it back in, that's the time when I took the one hard shot and I got taken down. That's why I have black eyes, because this like just went down to my eyes. And so yeah, that was that. Not the end result we wanted, but if you always want to win, right? But if the only reason you fight is for the win every single time, especially in bare knuckle, you are probably be sadly mistaken.
Yeah, now I do know that Wyoming has had some Lithway fights because I am friends with Dave LeDuc and I know he fought there. But
Mm-hmm.
this is the first time, and here's a picture from your fight, that I've seen MMA bare knuckle, really. What state sanctioned that, and how often does this happen? Because this must be fairly new.
Yeah, this is new. So this is Jorge Masvidal show, Game Bread, and it's Game Bread Fighting Championship. This is in Biloxi, Mississippi, and this was the second show ever. So we're the second women to have ever even fought in this sport. So it's definitely a learning experience for everyone. So I think they may have another show coming up in December, and I really think it's going to grow like as big as just BKB has grown. The aspect of getting to have all your other tools and weapons too, I just can't imagine that it's just not going to blow up. It was very interesting. It's kind of just taking it back to like those old school rules before people started wearing gloves.
Now, Justin Thornton, a bare knuckle fighter, died not too long ago. Did that concern you at all going into this fight, or is that just a fluke to you? Like we've seen tons of deaths in boxing over the years.
Yeah, I think that was actually after my fight, and people have asked me that question. I don't know all the circumstances. I know people who, unfortunately, that has happened in even kickboxing. So I hope that the sport doesn't get like a bad rep because of that, because it literally can. I mean, it could happen in any sport. You take a lot of brain injury in football. So we don't, me personally, I don't really know all the information there is to give like an accurate answer of exactly why did that happen. Was it from the fight? Was it something from before the fight? I'm sure the fight probably didn't help, but I mean, honestly, it doesn't change my opinion moving forward, because like we can get hurt doing anything. Like people skydive every day. We just driving in our car, the odds of getting killed are high.
Yeah, race car driving has deaths as well. How did you get into fighting? Because obviously you're one of the more attractive female fighters. So, what drew you to get into such a brutal form of sports?
Honestly, when I grew up, like, well, I'm still weird. Obviously, you see my weigh-in video. Um, I'm so awkward and weird, and I don't necessarily know how to make friends. Um, and so in school, I was always like too shy to try out for anything. Like, I think I would have been a bomb track runner, and like, there's so many things I wish I would have done, but I was just like, I didn't have the confidence to do it. And I went to school I have my cosmetology, I have aesthetics, I have NASM, metabolic effect, I have yoga certifications, I have anything you can think of. I literally like do a little bit of everything. You can't see like in my house now, but I'll remodel stuff in the house. Like I literally, I guess I'm making up all for it now, but I'm really big about just being super like happy inside about what you're doing. And I was noticing that, like I was working jobs like, I don't know, CVS or something. And ever since I was a kid, I remember when I was probably like 9 or 10, I don't know, but I had a record player and I had the Blondie record. And I just knew from the time that I was a kid that I was supposed to do so much more. And so I think that's part of the reason that I was never really satisfied, because I'm like always seeking, what is it? What is it? What is it? and I saw a documentary about Muay Thai, and I fell in love with it, and I said, that's what I want to do. And I found a gym the next day. I started training, and I had my first fight after 6 months. And it was honestly the first thing I'd ever done that I felt I was actually naturally good at it. I really liked it. I felt proud of myself, and it's something where I just didn't second guess it. I just instantly loved it, and I knew like, okay, like this is what you've been looking for.
So, what made you join a Thai boxing gym? You just wanted to learn how to fight, and that seemed like the most fun discipline for you to learn?
Yeah, the show I watched was actually Master Tottie's Tough Girls. It was the very first one that ever came on. There was a second one that actually came out, but it didn't air in the United States. But I saw it, and um, it was the girls like crawling on their elbows, if I can remember correctly, and they just had like bloody elbows, and it was just like it seemed awful, but at the same time, it just seemed like really rewarding. And I had never seen any other martial arts before that, and I just the beauty of it, and just like it being such an art, not only to be like to fight, but to be so beautiful while you're doing it, and have it be such an art was just really enticing, and I just fell in love.
Had you been in any street fights or anything previous to that, or was that your first time getting hit?
Yeah, my first time getting hit was probably besides spankings when I was a kid. Was when I saw.
Don't put those ideas into the people's heads.
But yeah, I mean, I'm besides when people say stuff about my dog, or push me, I'm literally like the calmest person. Almost, I'm like super laid back, super chill. Um, I've never been in a street fight. I haven't to this day. Not to say it'll never happen. Because who knows? We don't know. Could be interesting, but bare knuckles the next best thing. But yeah, I think yeah, I normally don't have issues where I've ever even been in a street fight. So yeah, getting hit the very first time was in the gym, and it just like it didn't really affect me. Like I said, my first fight was after 6 months. I fought a girl who had been fighting at the time for I think around 3 years. And I just remember like breaking her pretty early on in the fight. And even while your very first fight, I fought in North Carolina, so there's still no shin guards, no elbow pads. You don't know how to use them at the time. But I mean, even my first fight, I was fighting pro rules basically. Um, so just feeling like your shins like dig into somebody's body and stuff, like it just was like super rewarding.
That's funny. That's the first time I've heard that term for kicking somebody.
It's really fun.
Yeah, I agree, actually. I actually like striking sports better after initially just doing grappling. It's much more fun. But there's a few people on here commenting about your tattoos. So I was just looking through some of your tattoo pictures for the fans here. Could you tell us a bit about your body art and what made you get all this? I hear it's addictive, and I
Oh,
guess it must be.
you do keep saying that every time's the last one, right? No, I started getting as soon as I turned 18, I went and got this kanji on my arm, which isn't there anymore. And then because I just wanted to get something, I don't really know what initially made me fall in love with tattoos. I just like them. So I got this really stupid kanji on my arm, and not that they're stupid if you have some, but it just wasn't my style. And then I ended up getting like more into the arts, and actually finding out what I liked, not just to have a tattoo. And I fell in love with all the Japanese art. So everything I have is Japanese folklore. So basically, long story short, I started out with half sleeve to cover up the kanji that was here, and then I did the rest of my arms. So now I have my whole back, my sides, my feet. So it's all Japanese folklore. It's all mythical creatures. I have a kitsune on my side. I've got the new, which is like the dream devourer. I've got a tiger on my back, was a Maltese tiger. And that also represents my Muay Thai original camp. I have the phoenix and the bird of paradise combined on my back. So they're all kind of just like intertwined instead of just being like the regular creature. They're all kind of like my take and then my artist's take on it as well. And everything is kind of within Japanese folklore. Most of these are good luck type of things as well.
Which tattoo was the most painful?
My hand. Before my hand, I would have said my thigh, but it was definitely my hand only because it swells so fast and it gets all puffy, and then you don't realize it's definitely, I had to plan it on days I wasn't training. I was like, oh, I'll be fine. I'll be back in the gym in a few days. I'm just gonna use my jab, and man, it takes a lot longer to heal, and it's so swollen, and then you're like, oh my god, why did I do this? This is my hand. And then what if it doesn't blend with the rest of my tattoos? But I would definitely say the hand, and then next to that was my thigh.
Sorry, I'm looking through some of them as you're talking to try and find some more for the fans here. Now, if they want to look at your Instagram, let's give that a plug now. I've posted some pictures from your Instagram, but if they want to actually find you on there, where can they find you?
So it's Thai, like Thailand, Thai box, like a boxer, BOX bear, like the animal. So Thai box bear, that's my Instagram, that's my TikTok. I'm trying to be a good TikToker. I'm not really fully understanding all about it yet. But I'm trying. I'm trying to get it, but I'm mainly on Instagram.
Yeah, and some of these pictures, like this one, looks like it could have been a modeling one. Do you actually do modeling jobs as well?
Yeah, this was for a magazine well, I was in Inked Mag, the online one, not the paper one. And this was for another tattoo magazine as well. So they actually did like a little story and stuff on me. So it's really cool. It's like only the one that I have a paper copy of. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, and then I audition for stuff. I'm living in Atlanta now, so auditioning for things, and I think that'd be cool to do more stuff like that because it's fun. So I guess technically, yeah, I'm a little bit of a model, but
What gym do you train out of in Atlanta?
I train out of that's my kitsune. I
Yeah, that's scary, actually.
Yeah, so his little tail is actually, it's all white because when he gets all his tails, that's when he gets all his power.
Cool.
So I train at X3 in Inman Park. Justin Burns is my coach there. I do a lot of my strength conditioning still from Jeff Jimmo at my gym, Jimmo, and out of Gastonia. And then I do my MMA more recently here at Independent MMA with Doug Usher and Krista Timms as well.
So you're very busy. Do you still have to do a regular job as well on top of all this training?
Normally I was just teaching yoga classes, like on Zoom. So I teach yoga and I teach kickboxing classes at Independent. And then also I'm doing my dog training certification so that I want to specifically like work with pit bulls and more aggressive breeds, because they get such a bad rap. But I just actually Monday started the cryotherapy place, sponsored me. It's called Chills Cryo. They sponsored me for this past fight, and I'm actually working there part-time now as well. So that's kind of cool to get to still be everything I'm doing is still in like the health and wellness field.
Any tips for small dogs like this that think they're pit bulls?
Oh my gosh, that's so cute. What kind of dog is that?
Miniature poodle.
Oh my gosh, it's hard to see in the little thing. It looks so cute. He looks like a cartoon dog. That is so cute.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's a cute one. Now, cryotherapy, I've had that a couple of times. How has
Mhm.
your experience been with cryotherapy?
Man, it's awesome. I love it. I usually go twice a week, and then I combine that with like the Normatec, the compression as well. So it's for me just like having two practices a day, whether no matter what they are. I mean, your body's eventually going to get tired. So just knowing that you have that bit of relief is super helpful. So I'll go like, let's say Tuesdays and Thursdays or whichever day is kind of my more heavy days during the week. And then I'll do like the IV once or twice a month too, just to get like extra nutrients and stuff. So it's super
Really? I've never
beneficial.
even heard of that. We're from
Yeah.
Canada though, so maybe we're not as advanced as you guys are, but what is this whole IV thing?
So IV therapy is like, obviously, like if you're sick and if you have to go to the hospital or something, they might give you the IV with all of the vitamins and nutrients. So you're just getting it like instantly. So they have clinics or oxygen bars. Like we have an oxygen bar at the place that I work as well, so that you can actually get your oxygen going while you're doing it. So they have different ones. They have them for specifically for athletes, like with supplements mainly for athletes in there. They have like immunity booster ones. Um, there's one for like fat loss. So there's like five different kinds, but ultimately it's all just really good for you. And obviously like a nurse does it and there's a doctor on site and all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely helpful, like if you're training a lot or you're jet lagged, and just to get that like instant boost is super helpful.
Now, is this an outfit that you would wear going to the mall? This is an interesting.
Pretty much every time I go to the mall, I wear this because I want to see if I can get more attention than that weigh-in. Um, no, my friend Piper took that picture, and I don't know where we found that. I don't know. It might have it's probably just like in her car in the armrest or something. And like every time we go somewhere, she just wants to model me. And she doesn't want to be in pictures, even though she's really pretty. She doesn't want to be in pictures, but she wants to take pictures of me. So she like puts me in positions and tells me what to look like. And she's like totally Hitler because she will move my body around, and she's like really rude, but she does it to make me look really good. So anytime anybody else takes pictures of me, I'm like, you're not my best friend. But yeah, so that was something she found, and she told me how to stand and look just right. That wasn't my own doing. But I put that on. That was in Asheville, North Carolina, and I literally like put that on in a parking lot or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Well, it's showing your tattoos, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know where that thing is. That thing's so cool too. There's like things you lose, and then you're like, "Where's that thing?" And I'm like, "Why did I get rid of that? Where's that at?"
Well, looking at these legs, I got to ask you what you do for legs because they look pretty strong.
Kick stuff. I naturally. So my mom's side of the family were Colombian. So we're obviously like that culture has thicker thighs anyway. But you know, I didn't necessarily have like super defined legs growing up or anything, but I attribute it a lot to honestly jump rope, to kicking. I think it just really hardens your muscles. And for strength conditioning, I keep it pretty simple. I mean, like deadlift, squats, like super like basic, like power cleans, things like that. So just lifting heavy weight and doing super functional stuff. But I don't ever have like a day, honestly, specifically just focused to legs. And the older that I've got, I've noticed that like just you get more dense, and your muscles actually like turn into like real muscles. They're not like kid muscles anymore. They're like grown up muscles.
Yeah, and I also notice on your Instagram, this is the one of this tiger type creature.
Mhm. He's the new. It's a NUE is how you spell it. He's the new. So he's part tiger. He is part gorilla. I actually have boar tusks that I put there on mine as well. So then you can see he's got tiger stripes, and then his tail is the snake, and then that runs all the way up through my side. And that side that the snake is running through, I had tattoo removal one time, and the snake's covering all that up.
What was that you had to get removed?
It was a sparrow. It just didn't match because I've been with this. I've only had 2 artists that did everything. This is the one that I had on my side was before I got my back done. It was a sparrow, and I went to this guy in this random little town. This is back when I didn't know what I wanted, and I was just like, oh, let's put a bird here. And it took this dude like 4 hours to do this little tiny sparrow, and it was so painful. And he's just like talking to me and hitting on me, and it was like really uncomfortable. But long story short, about a week later, all the colors started coming out of the tattoo. And at that time, I didn't really know any better. So I went back to the shop and I told the lady who actually owned the shop, I'm like, hey, this is what happened, like all the color. And this is while it's still like scabbed on my side. Again, I didn't know. I'm like, what, 18 or 19 years old. The chick takes me to the back and tattoos over it right then and there, like while it's still healing. It was so bad. So then years later, it just didn't match any of my stuff, and the color was still kind of shady. So I was like, not actually shady, but that is a tattoo term. So I was like, I'm just gonna go get it removed, and I thought it was gonna be like I didn't think it was gonna be that bad, and it hurt worse than anything I've ever done in my life. It was so bad. Like I left, and my body, I think, thought I was going through shock. Like, I mean, I was like shake. I was really bad.
Okay, maybe I'll never get any tattoos after hearing that story.
I think like they have like you can numb, like some places you can like numb, but it takes more sessions to go, from my understanding, and that may have changed, but it takes more sessions to go back. So she does like a cooling thing while she's removing it, and it went pretty fast. But also with mine, I bartended for like 10 years, so I worked at a rooftop bar at the time, and it was like a really busy night. It was a Thursday night, and you have like a gauze and stuff over it, and words, but you have like a gauze and stuff over it. But since it was outside and it's humid, and we're in North Carolina, it's like college night, like it's just so crazy. And I was so hot, like then it got infected. So that was just a whole disaster.
There's a fan on here that wants to know what would your dream MMA match be if you could have a dream opponent?
A dream opponent? I don't know if I've ever thought about this. I don't really think I have a dream opponent. I think at this point it's more about me just continuing to get better and learning the sport. I am pro now because I'm pro Muay Thai, and I'm pro MMA, but I think maybe I may have a dream opponent later, but right now it's more about me learning how to execute everything that I'm doing MMA wise in a cage. The same way as how I know to do in Muay Thai. It's now like it's a really hard transition from Muay Thai over to MMA. So even if you've drilled something a lot of times, your instincts just kick in or they don't. So at this point, I think it's just more about me being the best fighter and executing everything right, and then I can have a dream opponent.
I found this picture that shows your back tattoo really well on your Instagram.
That's the tiger, and then there's the phoenix. And like I said, so he's a bird of paradise at top, and the phoenix at the bottom. And then he's got like the little, his face is like a rooster. So, yeah.
You're jacked for sure. If fans on here want to look up one of your fights, what would you suggest that they search?
You can just look under Crystal Lawson on YouTube. There's a few on there. I had more fights online, but we won't go into why they're not there anymore because we'd be giving someone too much credit. Basically, like my YouTube got deleted that had some of my older fights on it, and I found some DVDs the other night before the fight, and I actually got to watch one from several years ago. I was like, man, like I wish this was online, but I do have some scratched like CDs, like when they used to put the fights on CDs. So I would eventually like to get those fixed and get those online too, because I think that'd be really cool.
Malik wants to know, who is your favorite woman MMA fighter that influenced you the most?
Well, the first woman, like I said, I come from Muay Thai, so the first women that I saw were Felice Herrig, who obviously switched over, and Gina Carano, who I met later on. But those two are the women I would say, and Julie Kitchen for Muay Thai. Those are the three women who really, really got me interested in martial arts, because all of those women not only are super badass, but they're also pretty. And that's a lot of times people will say like, oh, why do you want to mess your face up? Or you're too pretty to fight. Or I definitely don't look at myself that way. I don't necessarily see myself how other people see me. So I just see myself as a fighter, but I do like understand I'm not ridiculous. But I do understand. But those three are the first women I saw. I guess you never really think about it until you see it, that like, oh, attractive women like compete as well. It sounds like shallow and stupid, but I mean it's true. I mean, when you're younger, you don't really think about that. You think it's more like, I don't know, manly. And then, you know, to see women being such badasses really does draw you in.
Yeah, and also you would think that the more attractive ones just wouldn't want to mess up their faces.
Yeah, I mean,
Whereas,
and everybody says like, oh, don't get cut. And I'm like, well, scars are cool. So I don't mind. I even told my corner, I was like, yo, like, this is bare knuckle, guys. So if before the fight, I had told my corners, I said, if my nose gets broken, I was like, I want this to be like $1 Million Baby, not the part where I die, but I was like, just put my nose right back in, and we're just gonna keep going, you know, like nothing about it. That's the only thing I regret is that normally like in Muay Thai, or you're gonna stop the cut, but I guess they didn't know the blood was like directly in my eye. So it would have been nice if I'm trying to figure things out on the fly and there's like blood in my eye, if I would have had it wiped away or just something, and then just been able to continue. So it's definitely a big difference.
what's the worst injury you've ever had in a fight?
I've never had a really big injury in a fight, but I have had a bad injury in practice. Probably in like 2012 or 13 or something like that. I'm like bad with times. Like I'm from the South, so you know, to me, like a mile could mean like not that long, or it might mean a really long time. But I was training at a gym here in Atlanta, actually, and my coach at the time kept telling me I need to be training with my headgear on. And so I was really, really excited. I was gonna like make him proud that I put my headgear on. So I was so excited about my headgear that I forgot my mouthpiece. And then my training partner had on her mouthpiece, but she didn't have in her headgear, or have on her headgear. She put it in, that'd be weird. But when we kind of clenched up, and when we fell, her chin just happened to like hit the top of my head, and it like made my jaw like clamp together. And so it broke my jaw. And I was actually telling this story the other day. I didn't know my jaw was broken. We came back home. I was staying with some friends. The chick had made like, I don't know, mashed potatoes and some other stuff, and I couldn't really eat. My face was starting to swell up. I remember trying to get coffee at the mall, and I couldn't really drink out of a straw. And I'd never even broken anything, so I just assumed like, oh, maybe it's like a little fracture or something. And I looked like a chipmunk. And then I dragged back to North Carolina because that's where I live. At this time, I still didn't know what was going on. I went to like one of those crappy dentist places because I didn't have like insurance at the time. I don't know, I want to say Smile Starters, but that's like something totally different. I went to the place, and they said nothing's wrong with me. So they just like did a scan. They said nothing's wrong. So just like don't eat hard foods and stuff like that. So I was like, okay. Well, a few days later, I like started to feel a lot of more pain. I'm still swollen. By this point, I am taking having to take something for the pain. So I go to a oral specialist and I have an infection like in one of these bottom teeth. And the guy there did like the good x-ray. I don't know what that's called, but I had actually broke or cracked both TV joints, and I had like 3 breaks in my jaw, like here, here, and here. And I was so scared I was gonna have to get my mouth wired shut. So I'm not scared of getting hit, but I am scared of stuff like that. And he just said that as I said, do I have to get my mouth wired shut? And he said that I didn't, as long as it could heal on its own. So I drink Ensure only for about 2 months. I can't remember what I ate. I just basically lived off of Ensure, and it healed on its own. But that's the worst injury I've ever had. And then this cut is the only time I've ever had to have stitches as an adult. And I was more nervous about the needle than the actual, like, the cut doesn't hurt. Like, getting hit's not really what sucks. It's and I'm not scared of needles, but there's something about the fear of getting stitches. I've always had that. So now that fear is over, I'm good to go.
So you don't even have health insurance and you're doing this for a living?
I did until January, but like with all the changes, like I don't have it anymore. So like I just have to do everything self-pay until like the world figures out what it's gonna do. Because literally for insurance, for me, just for one person, it's like $500 a month. Like it's ridiculous. So I might as well just pay out of pocket.
Well, I hope you don't have to deal with anything too serious. What's
Yeah,
your
I mean, if you get hurt on a show or something like that, that is, I don't want to say the only cool thing, but yeah, like if you're fighting for a promotion and you're injured because of the fight, that's not something you take care of on your own. I mean, they do take care of you.
Okay, good. That doesn't
Yeah,
always happen in pro wrestling.
yeah, that's crazy. I can't imagine. Yeah, if that were the case, I definitely could not go without insurance. And like I said, I have a good primary care doctor also, who's usually, if I just let him know, like if something's going on or bothering me, he'll say, okay, like he makes it like as easy as possible just to like do Zoom meetings and stuff. So they kind of know me by now. But that's crazy that, because there's a lot of injuries in wrestling.
Yeah, the bigger companies do, but the smaller companies don't.
That's crazy.
As far as your diet, what's your diet like?
Well, I had some cookies before I talked to you. And normally, I hate vegetables. I don't eat a lot of vegetables. I eat a lot of protein. Um, I don't do keto. I used to do keto, which was really good for me, but I do just more protein. I don't watch my carbs too much, but I do eat like healthier carbs. I like to eat like a lot of stuff with spices, like Indian food and things like that. I work out so much that I don't have like some super crazy diet. It's not like a bodybuilder where I eat like just grilled chicken or something like that. I mean, I definitely kind of eat what I want and eat healthy, but I have a meal prep company that I work with. So I'm pretty good about having like balanced meals. And then every Sunday I ate cookies, except for today, which was Thursday, just because I had some extra ones. But yeah, I mean, I don't even know what I would look like if I didn't eat cookies, because that's kind of my thing. My last fight was at 114. And I was like, man, I could have made that like the week before if I just didn't like sweet stuff, but I do.
Do you cook your own cookies? Bake your own cookies?
I have, but I just get the Nestle's cookies in the little tube, and then I'll put them in well, sometimes I'll put them in the oven. I eat it more like a little dough, like I'll put it in the microwave for 30 seconds, or I'll just put it in the oven for like 5 minutes. So basically you have to eat it with a spoon, and then I just drink my milk with it.
Matt wants to know what's a good Colombian dish.
I don't exactly know. I just eat everything, everything spicy. Everything just has spice. Apparently, my parents and my family didn't grow up feeding me that, because my grandpa actually lives in Cali, Colombia, and I think they're still under like lockdown, which has been since last year when all this started going on. Like they still can't leave their houses. But no, my family, I grew up in the country and just cooked very traditional. So I've only eaten traditional Colombian food when I've visited my family and stuff, like down in Miami, down in Florida. So I'm just assuming it's all spicy because I like spicy stuff and I can tolerate it way more than other people that I know.
Have you ever actually been to Colombia itself?
No, I was supposed to go when I was like 13, but then my parents weren't going to go with me, so I was so scared to get on the plane by myself, so I didn't go. And I was planning a trip. Well, I had a lot of trips planned this last couple of years, um, but I plan on going whenever things open back up. But hopefully sooner than later, because I want to know. Like I've even looked up gyms. Like I wrote near where my grandpa lives. I just think like it's super important that like no matter how much of your culture you've been involved with, that you like know where you come from. So it is really important to me to like get over there and like actually see where I'm from. I know that my originally like we came over from Spain and then moved down to Bogota, Colombia, and now my grandpa's in Cali. So I think just getting to see like where my roots and history really are from, I think could tell me a lot about myself, because my mom always says that I'm a lot like my grandpa, but because like her and my tastes are so different. So I know there's so much of me that comes from that side of the family that I don't get to experience. But I might never come back because it's really warm there and I only like warm weather.
Yeah, I don't blame you. We're about to get into the cold season here, which is a nightmare. As far as Ronda Rousey, what's your opinion on her?
I just think she's a poor sport. You know, I thought she was cool at first just because she was like doing something really good for the sport and bringing women to it. But after losing and acting the way she did, I'm just like, I don't have any respect for somebody like that. I just think that it took any quality she had of, like, you forget about all the cool things she did about being an Olympian and stuff, and like that's all you see is just like a really poor sport and somebody who's spoiled and can't handle a loss. I mean, like, fighting's not, like I said, you want to win, but it's just not about winning and losing. And if that's the only reason you're fighting, then you got a really short career.
Apparently, she had a bad attitude in wrestling too, but she made a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, I have a guy at my gym who does wrestling. Um, And I remember years ago, I was going to go down to Florida and do that little camp thing. And I don't know, I think it was just like so saturated at the time, but I think it would have been a super cool experience, because I love like the Bella twins and I love watching all that kind of stuff. So I think to get involved in it would be like super, I think it'd just be so fun.
Now it is Halloween time. Have you ever had any supernatural experiences?
Hmm. Well, I do would like to preface with Halloween's like my favorite holiday besides Christmas because I like presents too. That's bad to say, but that's true. Um, but no, I love Halloween. Spooky stuff. Yeah. Now this house, we've had some spooky things happen here. Well, I've had a couple. Some okay. I'm like talking in a lot of circles, so let me stop that. First of all, Piper and I, the friend I told you about, we used to all the time go on nighttime adventures because we worked at the same bar. So we'll go try to find haunted stuff. And I think I have some stuff on my Snapchat still saved, but we went to this random town one night. We got off of work. It was like 3 a.m. and we started driving towards Wilmington. And it was this old hotel. We just like found this old weird hotel, and it there were like all the doors open, and we were hearing creepy stuff. So we left there and we went to this gas station, and we're like, hey, we're looking for some haunted places to go. And there's just like this one police officer inside, or no, there were two. And they're like, yeah, we're the only officers in town, but there's this old school up the road, and they just gave us like physical directions, like not like here's your map quest, like they told us how to get there. So we drive probably about, I'd say 15 minutes, and it's like this really long dirt road, and we're going down. I'm in my car, and Piper is in like an SUV, and we pull up, and there's like this huge field, and there's like a barn with open something, and I swear I saw something out of the corner of my, I don't know what it was, but I told Piper, and she's like, oh my God, like get back in the car, get back in the car. And when we got ready to get back in the car, we see headlights coming and realize like, oh shit, like we need to get out of here. This is pretty crazy. And it ended up that she had turned her car around, and I'm sitting, and a car pulled up beside of us, and I had turned around by this point, and it was those two police officers, and we're like, oh my God, like we're so stupid. We just told the only cops in this town exactly where we were going. We could have totally been murdered. So that was stupid. Don't do that. But yeah, we saw a lot of spooky stuff, and the house that we're living in now was actually built in 1971. We just bought it in November, but it's settled down now. But when we first moved in, this house was actually built for the actress, I think it's Susan Hayward. She auditioned for Gone with the Wind, but she was in some other stuff. And it used to be just a little cabin, and they kept building onto it. But when we first moved in, we would definitely like hear some stuff, kind of see like shadowy things. And then the house immediately flooded. I would say we were here for about 2 weeks, and our entire house flooded. So it's completely torn up. That's definitely not something we planned for. But it's like every time stuff was being redone to the house, like it kept getting, like we kept hearing more stuff and seeing more stuff. You know, like things up at there's like a loft here, like you'll kind of feel like somebody's watching you. Then one day I was in the bedroom, and I heard someone like banging on the door. This has not been that long ago. And I heard someone banging on the door, and the dogs are like going crazy. So I like had the dog go to the front door, because I'm like, who is it? I get there and I don't see anything. And I was like, oh shit. And I'm still hearing the knocking. And I was like, that means somebody's at my back door, which is weird because we've got a fence, like, and like there's a lake, like how did they get there? So at this point, I'm not even going to the door. I'm just gonna let the dogs go to the door. So they start running through, and I heard it about one more time, and then it just completely stopped. And so I'm like, oh shit. So at that point I get my gun, and I'm like, no one could have gotten away that fast unless like go under my house. So then like I have my gun, and I like go through the whole like underneath our house, and nothing was there. And then I told my neighbor about it, and so I still don't know what that was. But I've saged the house, and we did find out that 2 people have actually died here. One man had like a heart attack on the front porch, and then the neighbor won't tell me like the whole story, but there was this man that had a wife. There's a man that had a wife. There's a man who, I guess she was like in a wheelchair or something, but they like never knew she lived here. So I don't know if they held her hostage or something in here. But yeah, so I don't know what happened in that person. So there's 2, possibly 3 deaths here. But
Held her hostage. That's a little weird.
I don't know. She was in a wheelchair, and this neighbor, because she's like literally right beside of us, she said she never knew this woman's here until one day she heard somebody screaming on the front porch, and the lady had fallen out of her wheelchair. And then the man, like, my neighbor's name starts with a K. I don't know if I'm allowed to say her name, but Kay walked over, and she was like, "Is everything okay?" And this guy was like, "Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Like, just go back in your house. Everything's okay." That's the only time they've ever seen that lady. So I'm just saying, it's a little weird. It's a little weird. So like I said, my dad and I also, there was a bunch of carpet. My dad showed me how to do hardwoods. So we redid all the hardwoods. And then I was like, not too many weeks ago, I was fixing the front porch. And because like some of the wood started rotting, so I decided I was just gonna like replace it and put new stuff. And the front door just slams, and there wasn't like any wind or anything. So I was like, okay. So at that point, I'm just like, look, like I'm doing good stuff to the house. It's fine. Just like, please just leave me alone. Like everything's good. I don't know, like I said, if just everything, like, cause I definitely believe in the stuff. I don't know if just like everything being like torn up in the house, like stressed out, whatever was going on, but it's been pretty calm. I've never felt anything like scary here or anything like that, but definitely like some weird stuff happened.
Would you ever bring a Ouija board in there to see if you could know?
No. I will sage your house and I will look at tarot cards because that's anybody could do that. But I don't mess with. That's the one thing I won't do is I won't do a Ouija board because I did that when I was like a kid too, and I remember just like how scary it was. I just don't ever want to invite like I don't ever want to invite anything in. Like if something just happens to be someplace, okay, but I don't want to like open some portal and like bring some negative energy and then like what do you do with it? I don't know. It'll be like that the divot box that was on Mr. Ballin. Have you heard about that thing?
I'm not familiar with it. No.
Yeah, I think it's called the divot or the divot box, but like this they had like they lock all this stuff inside and then like all these terrible things start happening to people and it's like a special key and you're not supposed to open the box because they have all the bad spirits trapped inside. And I think now that box is located in a very top secret location, like under some building and stuff. You'll have to look it up. Like I said, it's called the Divot box or a Divot box. Mr. Ballin has a good thing about it on YouTube. He's got a pretty his depiction of it, like the way he tells the story, is pretty good.
Very interesting. David wants to know your thoughts on UFOs, which have been in the news a lot this year.
Oh yeah, I think they're. What is that ranch? What's the ranch?
Skinwalker Ranch.
Walker Ranch. Yeah. So that's crazy too. Of course, everybody saw the Joe Rogan about that, but yeah, I definitely believe in all that kind of stuff. I honestly just like I don't see why not. Why would we be the only thing here? Like how why do we think we're so special that we're the only thing here? I just think there's too many things that happen and too much stuff that people see that why can't that be? Like who knows? Is the moon real? Like some people think the earth is flat. I don't know everything. I don't think everything's meant to be known, but I do think that there's a lot more stuff than we know. There's probably a lot more stuff than we want to know. And I think it's probably better that we don't know a lot of it.
Now, in your opinion, you think you may have already fought a trans, but Burley Sullivan wants to know, would you ever fight a trans?
That was so funny because that was one of the comments I think on your video. Like, isn't that transgender? I was like, that's pretty funny. But no, I wouldn't. I mean, maybe if he was like, maybe if I did 105. Maybe if I did 105, sure. In a Muay Thai fight, not an MMA fight.
Do you have any like basic fighting tips for people if they're ever attacked? Like, what's some simple things that they should remember?
I think that would fall more on like the self-defense aspect, and I think that's honestly, in my opinion, just more preventative. Like, I'm really big about when I come out of somewhere in the dark or like not being on my phone, just general awareness. Like people say, have your keys in your hand. Like I always carry a knife. I always carry a flashlight. I'm really weird about being attacked. It's never happened, but I'm like, because I'm diligent.
All right, remind me never to surprise you if I see you in person.
Unless you're like, hey, little girl, I got cookies. I saw this video on, I think it was TikTok yesterday, where it's like a little boy trying to lure the adults, and he's like, "Come on in," and she was like, And he's like, come and take the back seat. We got anything you want back here. But it was funny because the kid trying to lure the adult in. She was like, I don't like that. Like, I like such and such. He's like, yeah, we got that in the back seat too. Come on. But yeah, I just say, like, honestly, like, be really diligent. I am keep a taser, always be on the lookout, like literally just be aware of what's happening around you is number one, because that's even like jogging. I do like to do trail running and stuff, but I've gotten really weird about that because the more things I watch that people are like getting attacked, it's because like they have in headphones and they're not being aware. So it's just like really like knowing your surroundings and trying your best not to put yourself in that kind of situation. And if you do, never get in anybody's car and just be as loud as possible, because most of the time people do not want a fight. So just like don't go down easy. Like be loud, be obnoxious, like make as much noise as possible, make a scene, like anything you can do to get out of that situation.
Do you swim at all for your cardio? David is wondering on here.
I swim in the lake and I like to see how long I can hold my breath, but I am not a good swimmer. I probably would be if I practiced, but my mom made me wear a life jacket even in pools until I was like 15. So I literally had to teach myself how to swim, and I made it up and I can swim, but I'm not like the strongest swimmer. I did get a swim cap, which is really cool, and it has a cat on it. I don't even really like cats. I like tigers and
Your
lions.
dogs would be upset with you.
They would be so upset. But it was cool. And I was like, I'm gonna look like one of those ladies in the 50s. I said, I was like begging, I was like, I gotta get this swim cap. I'm gonna bring it back. It's not gonna mess up my hair color. I'm gonna look so fabulous. So I ordered the swim cap and I said, I'm gonna go swimming every day this summer. Every day I'm gonna use this swim cap. I used that swim cap one day and realized you're not gonna do this. So I'm not the best swimmer, but always trying to get better.
Now, you mentioned the dangers of running outside. Do you run a lot in your training for cardio?
I do mainly interval training. So for Muay Thai, I will do more distance running. But honestly, like all the science now is more behind sprinting. So I do like Don Heatrick's running program. So it's like a lot of shuttle runs, a lot of sprints, or I'll do like hill sprints and stuff. But I have a couple of days like right now, since I'm hoping to fight around December. Um, I'll do like slower runs, which are more like just like a 40-minute, just really long run, just to like really work your leg endurance. But I don't do a lot of distance running. It's not like boxing. It doesn't translate over so much into like MMA and combat sports like people once thought. So everything is kind of going more to a sprint style now. Sometimes I might run a few miles, at the most 3, possibly 4, and it'll literally be just to kind of mix it up a little bit, or if I've had like a really like rough several days and I'm not going to do something else that day in place of that, but not a lot of distance running. And my body is honestly just not built for that. I mean, you see how I built. I'm definitely not a distance runner.
Now, I did recall from that face-off, you said you were going to take that woman's soul. Did that just come to you, or did you think about that in advance that you were going to
No,
tell her that to try to get in her head?
no, I didn't think about anything that came out of my mouth. No, I just said what was in my heart, in my soul, and it just poured right out of my mouth. It was all 100% how I felt. Like I said, people did point this out, that I've been reading a lot of Dave Goggins. I did read that whole book, so maybe that did motivate me to be a soul snatcher. But no, I just literally like blacked out, and I just said everything that I had, like, I guess probably been feeling and wanting to say to this person after being like bullied and antagonized and treated like shit for so many years for no reason. Like, people describe me as I'm like relax, 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 but then a person only takes so much until you back them in a corner and then they just explode. So this is the first time after so long of me seeing her and hearing her say all these things and her saying all this stuff that you don't know how you're going to react, especially when somebody puts their hands on you. Man, like I just lost it. And then part of me is like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. You should have controlled yourself. But no, like that was authentically how I felt. And I always want to be like open and honest and vulnerable. And I don't want to hide anything about who I am or how I act, or what you see is what you get, you know?
Well, I think it was good that you did that because it got a lot of people talking about you. If someone sees this, it's a fight promoter or maybe wants to book you for modeling or something, where can they contact you?
Yeah, same thing. Like I would say contact on my Instagram at Thai Box Bear. On Facebook, it's just Crystal, Crystal Bear Lawson. But that's usually the easiest way to contact me. I always come and put on a show. I don't know if it will ever be as spectacular as that. I might have to practice for that. It was straight off the cuff.
Well, now that everyone knows you have knives and guns close by, maybe they'll be more intimidated by you, and maybe they won't start poking you.
And today I got this flashlight, which I like tools, but this can bust my window. I can see all the way across my lake. I can spotlight things. I mean, I could blind people. I've got it all. Like I'm about to take some bow and arrow lessons. I don't know how I have time. I need to live like a really long time because I've got so many things I need to do.
And you can also put the flashlight in your fist when you punch people on the street.
Exactly. I like where your head's at.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, and I'll let you close this off with whatever you want to say to the fans. Good luck in your next fight.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for the support. Thank you for everybody that has been so supportive. Also, honestly, thanks to everybody who hasn't been supportive. Like every single view, everything is nothing but promoting the sport. So thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thanks to my family, my friends, my team. I'm just grateful for everybody. I'm thankful for the experiences. And like I said, I'd really love to fight around December. Just ready for the next opportunity. And thanks to everybody.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it.